All right, so today we're diving into something that has been causing quite a stir in the tech world.
Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz
Yeah.
about this latest Windows 11 24H2 update.
Yeah, a lot of people, I'm sure, really excited to get their hands on, those shiny new features.
The
But,
latest and greatest.
right,
Mhm.
exactly. But as we all know, sometimes with these updates comes a few unwelcome surprises.
Yeah, you know how it is. New updates, new bugs to uncover.
Right, and this time it seems like it's a bug in the system file checker, or as most people probably know it, SFC.
Yeah, the SFC. So that's been making some noise lately.
It has, it has. And, for our listeners out there who maybe aren't so familiar with the SFC, could you give us a little bit of a System File Checker 101, what it is, what it does, why it's important?
Yeah, so think of the SFC as kind of like a digital mechanic for your computer, right?
Right.
It basically makes sure that all the system files, the ones that Windows needs to run smoothly, are in tip-top shape. So normally, you would open up the Windows terminal, kind of like a command prompt, type in SFC scan now, and it does its thing.
Okay.
It scans your system, looks for any corrupted files, and if it finds any, it tries to repair them.
Sounds pretty straightforward. So what is going wrong then with this new 24H2 update?
Well, with this new 24H2 update, there's a bug that's causing the SFC to go a little, I guess you could say, haywire.
Okay.
It's repeatedly detecting the same files as corrupted on every single run, even if there's no real problem.
So it's basically like a false alarm then.
It's kind of like, imagine you take your car to the mechanic,
Okay.
and every single time, they insist on fixing the same non-existent problem.
Right, right. Like, oh yeah, we found that problem again. Got to fix it.
Exactly. You're paying for a repair that you don't even need. And with the SFC bug, it's not just annoying, it can actually cause some instability down the line.
Oh, okay. So it's not just a matter of it crying wolf every time you run it. There are actual potential negative consequences.
Yeah, it's not just about the SFC crying wolf. You see, when the SFC thinks it's found a corrupted file, it doesn't just flag it.
Right.
It actually tries to repair it.
Okay.
And with this bug, it gets stuck in this loop of finding these phantom corrupted files and trying to fix them over and over and over again.
Right.
And each time you run the SFC, it goes through this whole process, and it puts unnecessary strain on your system.
Oh.
So over time, that can lead to slowdowns, errors, even crashes. It's like, constantly tinkering with a perfectly functional engine.
Right, right.
Eventually, you're going to cause more problems.
So for those of us who might already have installed the 24H2 update, is there any way to know if this is affecting us? Like, what should we be looking out for?
One telltale sign is if you run the SSC scan and it keeps finding errors every single time, even after it says it's repaired them.
Okay.
One user actually reported this exact issue on the Microsoft Feedback Hub. They said, with the latest Windows 11 updates, when I try to do SFC scan now, it shows errors every time, even though it should have fixed them already.
That's reassuring in a way. At least you know you're not the only one.
Exactly. Misery loves company, right?
Hmm.
But on a serious note, the good news is that Microsoft is aware of this bug,
Okay.
and they're likely working on a patch to include in a future update. So until then, the best thing to do is to avoid running the SFC tool unless you have a specific reason to believe there's a real issue with your system files.
So a little bit of patience is required on this one. Don't go digging around under the hood unless you absolutely have to.
Exactly. Let the professionals handle it. However, this isn't the only issue that's cropped up with the 24H2 update.
Oh, no, really. There's more.
There are whispers of other, perhaps even more concerning issues.
Uh-oh. I'm almost afraid to ask, but, lay it on me.
Good.
What else have users been reporting?
Well, some users have been reporting issues with File Explorer, the tool you use to navigate through your files and folders.
Right, yeah. Pretty essential stuff.
Well, it seems that File Explorer has been prone to freezing or even completely crashing for some users.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
That sounds like a major productivity killer.
Imagine you're trying to get some work done, and suddenly, bam, you can't access any of your files. Or, worse yet, your entire system locks up.
Yeah, that does not sound ideal. So what's the deal with this? What's causing File Explorer to have such a hard time with this new update?
Well, it seems that the root cause of these File Explorer crashes is still a bit of a mystery. Unlike the SFC bug, which has, a fairly straightforward explanation, this one is a bit more elusive. But while the cause might be unclear, the impact is definitely real for those who are experiencing it. I mean, imagine losing work or having to constantly restart your computer because File Explorer decides to take a nosedive That's not a fun way to use your computer.
Definitely not. No, that sounds incredibly disruptive. So, we've got a rogue file checker and a crash happy file explorer. Any insights into what a Windows user is supposed to do about it besides, joining a support group for venting about the 24H2 update?
Yeah, well, because the root cause isn't clear yet, there isn't really a guaranteed fix right now.
Okay.
However, some users have said that simply restarting File Explorer, not the whole computer, just File Explorer, can sometimes provide some temporary relief.
Oh, okay. So the classic turn it off and on again approach, but just for a specific program this time.
Exactly. And look, it's not a permanent solution by any means, but it could be a lifesaver while we wait for Microsoft to swoop in with a more, how do you say, comprehensive solution. Now, in addition to the SFC and File Explorer issues, there have been some other, let's call them, interesting occurrences with this 24H2 update.
Oh, no, not more. Okay. Well, I'm a little afraid to ask, but go ahead. What else have users been encountering?
So picture this. You're working on your computer, everything's going fine, and then suddenly, poof, your mouse cursor just vanishes.
Oh, wow. That sounds more like a magic trick than a software bug.
Right.
I can't imagine trying to use a computer without a mouse cursor.
Yeah, it's like trying to navigate a city in the dark without any streetlights. Not fun.
No, not fun at all. So what's causing it?
Well, it's hard to say for sure. It seems to be one of those phantom glitches that pops up every now and then. Could be driver issues, might be a software conflict within the update itself. Really hard to pinpoint.
So for those listeners out there who might be experiencing this right now, any tips for them if they find themselves suddenly cursorless?
Well, one thing you can try is pressing Control plus Alt plus Delete all at the same time.
Okay.
That usually brings up the screen with the option to open Task Manager. And then from there, you can try and locate the Windows Explorer process and restart it. That might be enough to coax your cursor back from the digital void.
Okay, so a little digital first aid for a disappearing cursor. I'll have to keep that one in mind. You mentioned there were even more quirks with this update, though. Please tell me there's some light at the end of this bug-filled tunnel.
Well, there's one more peculiar issue that we should touch on. Some users have reported finding a rather large and unwelcome file taking up residence on their hard drives.
Okay.
A rather large 8.63 gigabyte update cache file, to be precise. And this file seems to be resistant to any attempts to delete it.
An 8 gig file, that's a pretty hefty chunk of storage space to lose to what's basically digital clutter. So what is the deal with this file, and is there any way to actually get rid of it?
It seems like this 8.63 gigabyte file is basically a leftover from the update process itself. Usually, these kinds of temporary files are automatically deleted once the update is complete, but for some reason, the system just isn't cleaning up after itself in this case.
So we've got a rogue file checker, a disappearing mouse cursor, a hoarding update file. Is there anything else?
Well, aside from the occasional report of spontaneous combustion, I think that about covers it.
Okay, good. So this all really begs the question, though. I mean, is this just what we've come to expect with big software updates now? Like, have we just accepted that we're going to have to deal with all these glitches with each new release? It's like we're always just one update away from complete digital chaos.
That's a really interesting question, and honestly, I think it speaks to a larger issue within the world of software development today. You see, software development today, it's kind of like, imagine trying to build a house of cards.
Okay.
But you're doing it on a rocking boat.
Okay, that sounds tricky.
Right. It's inherently unstable.
Yeah.
And as software gets more and more complex, millions of lines of code all interconnected, the chances of something unexpected happening, well, it just skyrockets. Every new feature, every update, it's like adding another layer to that house of cards.
Right. So it's always a trade-off then between adding new things and making sure everything stays stable.
It is. It really is. And you've got developers who are under incredible pressure to keep pushing out these new features, new updates, all at a really fast pace. And sometimes something's got to give.
And it seems like in this case, it's stability that's taking a bit of a hit.
Yeah, and I'm not saying developers are cutting corners on purpose. It's just with the deadlines they're facing, the sheer amount of code involved, it's really tough to catch every single potential issue before something gets released.
It's like trying to find, I don't know, a typo in a giant library full of books. It's a pretty monumental task.
It really is. And some bugs are a lot more obvious than others. Small glitch here or there, it's annoying, sure, but it's not the end of the world. But then you have these major bugs that can cause crashes, data loss, security risks. Those are a whole different story.
Yeah. Those are the ones that really make you want to smash your computer sometimes.
Right, exactly. And those are the ones that keep developers up at night, too.
That's a good reminder, I think, that, at the end of the day, it's still people who are writing this software. They're not out to create buggy updates just to annoy us. It's just sometimes mistakes happen. It's a complex process.
And that's why when those mistakes do happen, it's so important for there to be transparency and open communication.
Yeah.
Users need to know what they're getting into, what the risks are, both in terms of potential issues and also the trade-offs being made between getting new features and ensuring stability.
It's all about informed consent, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Knowing what you're signing up for when you click that update button, understanding that there might be a few bumps in the road, but hopefully knowing that those bumps will get smoothed out eventually.
Exactly. It has to be a two-way street.
Yeah.
Developers are out there trying to build the best possible products,
Yeah.
but they also need users to meet them halfway. Be understanding when things go wrong, be patient.
So I guess the takeaway here is that software updates, exciting as they can be, they always require a healthy amount of caution.
And definitely a good dose of patience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so stay informed, read the release notes if you have time.
Right.
Always back up your important data. That's just good practice in general. And don't be afraid to hold off on an update if you're not quite ready to take the plunge.
Yeah. And hey, if you are feeling adventurous and you decide to install the latest Windows 11 update, maybe hold off on running that system file checker for a bit.
Or just be prepared for a very long and ultimately pointless wild goose chase.
Exactly. And keep those, what did you call them?
Digital fire extinguisher.
Your little fire extinguishers.
Definitely.
Because you never know when that file explorer might try to crash your day.
Never a dull moment with technology, is there?
Never a dull moment. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of the Windows 11 24H2 update.
It's been a wild ride.
It has been a wild ride. Hopefully our listeners out there learned a few things today. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay bug-free.